though I admit, having raised the question myself of late, in not being coupled with a strong partner in a marriage of equals. Perhaps you have come to question that same yourself, being married to a youthful invalid.
Of one thing, rest assured, from this day forth, I shun the pestilential society of literary women. They are a heartless, unnatural, venomous, dishonorable set, with no guiding principle but inordinate self-esteem. You must remember, Miss Fuller, I prefer to be judged by my literary affairs and not my personal ones.
Milking the transcendentalist cow. That's precisely what Mr. Hawthorne accused me of at one point. When he was living at Brook Farm, he had purchased not one, but 2 shares in the communal land trust, all the while secretly courting Sophia Peavy, with the intent that when he married, he would sell these shares for a handsome profit.
So you want to talk about Brook Farm?
Certainly.
Oh, I have a sincere respect for that community, conducted by an assemblage of well-read persons who mean no harm, and who perhaps can do no less.
I, as well, do not know what their scheme will ripen to. At present, it does not engage my hopes, as I doubt that they will really get free from all they deprecate in society. Though now that they have reorganized their physical structure into voyeuristic phalanxes, separating work from their social relations, I find them more socially balanced and better organized. Still, I have chosen never to live there.
As have I.
Even though I have held numerous conversations there in what they have come to call the Fuller Cottage.
But how does this Brook Farm experiment, or your conversations, answer the great question of the day?
I'm glad you asked that.
We must ask, how can we improve our national literature? We have finally arrived at that epoch when our literature must stand on its own merits or fall through its own defects.
Literature must be shaped by a genius wide and full as our rivers, luxurious as flowers, and vast as our open prairies, rooted in the strength of the land which our Puritan fathers stood. We love our country well indeed. My goal is creating a modernist canon, which envelops literature's high moral and spiritual purpose.
Well said. For my own part, there is no seducing me from the path of literature. I shall be a litterateur all my life, at least. Nor would I abandon the hopes that still lead me on for all the gold in California. Depend upon it. After all, literature is the most noble of professions. In fact, it is about the only one fit for a man.
Watch your tongue. Oh, fit for a man indeed. This is precisely what I have depicted so well in my great lawsuit, which was then developed in my book, Woman in the 19th Century. We must transform ourselves into a nation of full equality between the sexes and between the races. This is our ideal. Let us set this forth as our new standard.
Not to change the subject.
Oh, but you will.
Well, you are known, too, by Summer on the Lakes, a remarkable assemblage of sketches. That other book, Woman in the 19th Century, is a book which few women in the country could have written, and which no woman in the country would have published, with the exception of you, Miss Fuller.
Yes, Mr. Poe, this is exactly what I have told the audience here this evening before you arrived.
Oh.
I understand you have also said, behind my back, that there are 3 kinds of people on Earth.
Oh, yes, yes. Humanity comes in 3 forms, after all. Men, women, and Margaret Fuller.
Mr. Poe, do you have anything new to say tonight?
In the way of independence, of unmitigated radicalism, I need scarcely say that the book is forcible, thoughtful, suggestive, brilliant, for all that Miss Fuller produces is entitled to these epithets. But there are not more than 1 or 2 dozen Miss Fullers on the whole face of the earth.
Thank you, Mr. Poe. Startling to hear you say this in person. To my face. I am proud to say that I am friends with many strong-minded women in New England. I am also proud to say that I was born in Cambridge and buttered in Boston. And now, living in Manhattan offers me the opportunity for that which I most espouse, to combine a life of thought with a life of action.
So you think you can find these types of women in the Boston area?
Oh, certainly. I am friends with all of them.
Please don't misunderstand. I like Boston. I was born there. And perhaps it is just as well not to mention that I am heartily ashamed of the fact. The Bostonians are very well in their way. Their hotels are bad. Their pumpkin pies are delicious. Their poetry is not so good. Their comment is no common thing, and the duck pond might answer, if that answer could be heard, for all the frogs.